the video something and I put like what I put on the thumbnail, that is what I'm experiencing when I do these lives. Like this one says, fuck the plan, go with the flow. And I'm literally having to do that with this live stream right now. Like I'm currently at a hotel and things are just not going according to plan. Like the lighting is just kind of weird. It's not, I'm a perfectionist. I have Chiron and Virgo. It's one of my things. It's one of my things. The lighting is just not how I want it. Like the Wi-Fi was giving me issues. There's cloud cover. There was just a storm. There's just weird, just, I'm just having to go with the flow. I can't really, and I think this is going to continue as we get more into Pluto and Aquarius and Uranus and Gemini. We can't really plan right now. We really do have to go with the flow, and surrender to what is. Most recent example from my life, other than this live stream one that I just gave y'all, is that my lease was ending in Boulder, Colorado, and I was really trying hard to look for a new place there. I love that place. It's just my moon line is there. It just always felt like home to me. Lived there for 11 years. Love it so much. Have a great community there. Friends I adore. And something was pulling me to Montana. Something was like, no, you need to go to Montana. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what's in Montana? Like, I don't know anything about Montana except for like Yellowstone, the show, and like there's some college towns that maybe are similar to where I was living in Colorado, and like there's national park there that I want to see. Like that's all I knew about it, right? And like Big Sky, ski resort. It's all I knew about it. Get here, absolutely fall in love with it. Now I'm looking at moving here and buying property here. And it's just absolutely insane. I never thought that this is where I would be. Especially like 2 months ago, I never thought this is where I would end up. But I plan to even go like on more of a road trip. And I'm just not feeling like I want to leave this area. So I'm getting a really hard no for that. I'm a sacral authority in human design. I'm getting a really hard no for like traveling more right now. I'm getting a really hard no for like going back to Boulder, Colorado. So it's just really fascinating what comes when you trust your guidance, when you trust your intuition. And it's always for a divine reason, right? I just already feel so welcomed here. And I intend to do eventually, once I do get into my new place, like classes in my membership and my inner circle membership. Maybe I should call it the inner circle membership, because calling it my inner circle membership community is such a mouthful. But I do live classes in there. I do a group call every week, and I do live classes like every 2 weeks. I do a full moon workshop as well in my membership community. And one of the things I want to teach on next in there is astrocartography. I've already taught an astrocartography class for beginners, and I want to go deeper into the more advanced topics in astrocartography based on my recent experiences and what I've learned through all of my travels. And that wouldn't have happened had I not done this big road trip, right? And seen in real time some new parts of what my astrocartography can help me understand about what different locations hold for me. So I'm excited to teach all about that in my membership. But yeah, it's just fascinating. And we're really in this time period right now, especially with these eclipses. Eclipses represent intense periods of change, of going with the flow, and of really just accepting what is and not getting caught up in a plan or wanting things to look a certain way. That is the energy right now. Shadows and Secrets says, I'm feeling this go with the flow energy. It's like the universe is forcing us to submit. No, literally. It's like, you don't know what's best for you. I know what's best for you because you've been conditioned. You've been told it's this one thing, and there's so much better on the horizon for you. If you just trust me and you listen to me, that's what the universe is saying to all of us right now. Just trust in that, right? I also talked about this in length in my TikTok update that I do on every Sunday with my Astro board. And I give a general play-by-play of the days of the week and what transits we have in store this week. So go look for that. It's in the description. I also send it out to my email list, and it's my weekly newsletter that I send out. I also posted in my membership community. So if you want to read the transits of this week and the energy of this week in a written place, have it refer back to read, that's where you can do that. I send it out as a newsletter, and I post it in my membership community as well. So the membership community is really the place to connect with me deeper, more intimately, and be supported in your astrology and human design journey. It's off social media, thank God, because I'm feeling so called to not spend a whole lot of time on social media anymore, especially after recent events. Okay, so that is the energy for this week. Really just go with the flow. We're going to have some challenging transits. We have Mars squaring Pluto because Mars is moving into Scorpio. That is not a super fun transit, but I do think it is going to propel us into a sort of transformation, especially an internal sense of empowerment through a transformation that may be challenging, may bring or may occur through some conflicts. But again, everything, the way I see astrology, everything is for your highest growth and for your evolution. I come to astrology with a background in evolutionary astrology. So I really do view it all as like what needs to happen in order for us to grow and evolve in the ways that we need to and align ultimately like with what's meant for us versus what we thought was going to be best for us, usually based on the conditioning. I was talking about this on a recent live stream that I'm still trying to upload to YouTube. I think again, I've just been having so many tech issues. I know we are getting closer to a Mercury retrograde, but maybe it's because Mercury has been opposite Neptune that there's like these weird tech things going on. Yeah, it's still saying it's waiting to upload. It's been like 24 hours. But was talking about this on a recent live stream that I went to college pre-med to become a pharmacist, changed my major about 2 times, ended up dropping out. And so it's just like, I found what was meant for me. And I only was going that other route because I thought I needed to, or I thought that's what was going to be best for me, right? But God swooped in, the universe swooped in and showed me, no, actually, you're meant to be an entrepreneur and you're going to find your way there through having all these odd jobs that you hate that give you momentum and motivation to find a way to make money that's not reliant on a boss or other people. So it's all happening for a reason. And I love that the sun is starting to come out right now. As I'm saying this, again, I feel like whenever I do anything, there's symbols. Everything is symbolic. Everything speaks to us. We just have to listen and trust it. So let's get into the weekly horoscopes. The weekly horoscopes. Where's my astro gold? Okay, here we are. Can y'all see that? I hope the Wi-Fi is holding up. Okay. Aries Rising, we start the week off with the moon in your 7th house. You're going to be really focused on relationships at the start of the week, especially now that we are beginning Libra season. In your 7th house, big focus on other people in your life. There might be some, some illusion or some delusion around you and other people, as well as the sun is going to be opposite Neptune for the kind of start of the week here. And with the moon at play as well. I mean, just kind of watch out for anyone trying to stray you away from your own truth. That's kind of what this runs the risk of. Also, like I talked about, we're going to have Mars square Pluto early this week. On Tuesday, that's going to probably Tuesday into Wednesday is when that's going to peak. There could be some challenges and tension maybe between finances or resources, shared resources, or your own inner transformation and what's going on in your community or your circle, your friend group, maybe on social media as well. We're also on Tuesday going to have the moon opposite Chiron in your 1st house. There could be something that happens with somebody in your life that triggers you in ways that you need to heal around your identity, around your sense of self. With Venus now in your 6th house too, and challenging Uranus for the start of the week also, there could just be some chaos in your kind of day-to-day stuff, but really just ground into maybe your home or like what practices really expand you right now. I know this has been the message for everybody, what spiritual practices expand you. It's going to help with these challenges that come up as these transits progress through the week. Wednesday, the moon moves into your 8th house over Mars. There could be something emotionally triggering that happens Wednesday that kind of propels you into some sort of transformation, maybe a rebirth or a death in your friend groups, maybe like starting to have a different relationship with the people around you, or just all kind of throwing out your old community to find one that's more aligned with you. Could be a theme as well. Maybe you get clarity around that, or like, okay, certain people you want to cut ties with, or maybe even like social media you want to cut ties with, right? So that you can kind of have this rebirth with that and be aligned with people that really support you and that help you on your journey and your path. Thursday, it feels like some kind of miracle could come through, maybe related to that, but it also feels like this kind of inner healing could happen for you with the moon trining Jupiter in the North Node, in your water houses, as they're sometimes referred to, the 4th, 8th, and 12th houses. This is really kind of like an emotional transformation that's supported. On Thursday, maybe clarity around everything that's happened, and that intensifies on Friday as the moon moves into Sagittarius. It'll be opposite Uranus. This could create a kind of chaotic change within your perspective of life or your belief systems. really starting to see things differently. As we get into the weekend, we're going to have the moon challenging Venus in your sixth house. So there could be something that is emotionally pulling you in a direction, but you also feel like there's, I talked about this in my general update on TikTok. There's some sort of like refinement you have to make to your routine or to your work or to your schedule in order to expand in the ways that you want to. It's kind of like, okay, well, I want to do this and I want to be free, but I also have to like deal with something, like I have to adult. I have to deal with some kind of structure system that also needs attention. Then on Sunday, we're getting close to Mercury squaring Jupiter. We're also going to have the moon on Sunday square Saturn. So again, there could be this sense of like, okay, I got clarity on what I want to do and how I want to move forward. It's different than what I thought, but there's some sort of thing I also have to be disciplined about or with in order to make it work in the ways that I want to. So that's the week ahead for you, Aries. Let me know how it resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. All right, Taurus Rising, we start the week off with the moon in Libra in your sixth house. Now that we're in Libra season as well in your sixth house, there's really this focus on your day-to-day, on your work, maybe your relationships with people and what you do for work, or your routine, or wanting to socialize more and make that more part of what you do on a daily basis. Maybe getting out of your house a little more than you have been. Also, Mars is in your seventh house, so there's a big focus as well on other people, on relationships. Not to kind of sound redundant with that word, but I do feel like that's really where the focus is shifting for you, and it might come in a way that is really unexpected. You might meet people in ways that you didn't expect, or just kind of meet people who you didn't expect to. Almost kind of like this breath of fresh air with the people that you're meeting, of like, oh, these types of people exist, or something like that. There could be something on Tuesday that kind of puts tension on your inner subconscious healing. There could be something about somebody you just met, or something in your work or day to day that kind of triggers you emotionally to look at a deeper wound so that you can move on from it. We're also at the start of the week going to have Venus challenging Uranus still. So there could be some tension between maybe children or dating, romance, creative stuff, and money in some way. There's this kind of need to have some cleanup there so that those two areas of your life support one another and don't feel so in conflict anymore. Wednesday, the moon moves into your seventh house, furthering the energy of being focused on relationships. There could be something that you have to deal with in terms of a person in your life. Maybe this is your marriage, maybe this is just somebody in your life that maybe challenges your career or challenges your ability to like work or in some way. But it is something that you get this kind of inner clarity around on how to restructure things to make it all work. I feel like that's really the big theme for you this week, Taurus Rising, is like, how do I kind of refine, structure things differently, put more new systems in place or whatever for myself to make things work, because things have felt challenging. So there's this kind of, and maybe you get the clarity to do that on Thursday as the moon is going to harmonize with Jupiter and the North Node. We have a grand trine in water signs. Maybe you get that emotional clarity of like, okay, this is what I need to do differently in order to have more harmony between the areas of my life that feel really challenging right now. Again, like I talked about, the big theme of this week is going with the flow. So it's kind of like, what is being presented to me that maybe is a solution I didn't expect, but makes sense on how to deal with all of these things and bring it into greater harmony. There could be further clarification around all that on Friday, as the moon is going to oppose Uranus. Really, this big breakthrough, it could be also directed at money or resources in some way. There could be some sudden clarity about new income stream, or just freeing up resources or utilizing money differently in order to, again, this theme of balance, like to have more balance in what's going on. But you might need to like really resort to your meditation practices more, or add a second meditation practice or something to kind of weed through any confusion or things that feel unclear about how to go about what you're doing. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments. Then as we get into Saturday, the moon is going to challenge Venus in your fifth house. Again, there's this kind of like this push and pull this week between, okay, I need to do this to make this work, but then, oh, here's a roadblock. Okay, how do I move around that? It's really like, like what is being presented to you to make things work, and maybe ways you didn't realize could be possible. And then as we get into Sunday, it does feel like there's there's more clarity around whatever this is, and there's this need to really implement it, even if it kind of maybe will require you to sacrifice some freedoms, or what is that saying that's like structure is freedom or something? It's kind of like that energy. Um, and it will help you to feel less scattered, to have a better hold and more discipline with like committing yourself to organizing things better in a way that's going to work for you and maybe what has changed about your life. So that is the week ahead for you, Taurus. Let me know how it resonates, and I'll see you next week. All right, Gemini Rising. We start the week off with the sun and moon both in your fifth house of creativity, of dating, of romance. So you might be really focused all of a sudden on those things. There's an illumination there. Maybe you were really spending a lot of time alone in Virgo season, or just like an introspective, no, that's not the right word, introspective, yeah, that is the right word, hermit mode. And now it's kind of time to emerge from that with like the clarity you've gained, and maybe put that energy into something that kind of fuels you creatively or inspires you in ways that maybe you've been seeking but didn't know you needed. Also, now Mars is in your sixth house, so there's a lot of momentum in your work. There's a lot of momentum in your day-to-day routine and what you're doing on a daily basis. It could also have you questioning your perspective of life, getting kind of more clarity on like, oh, I thought my life was going to look like this, and now I'm seeing it all kind of completely differently. As we get into Tuesday, the moon is going to oppose Chiron. There could be something that triggers you, maybe about dating or a creative project, or with children as it applies. That maybe like there's an emotional pull or focus there, but then there's something that maybe triggers you on social media or within your community that kind of like puts this tension on what you need to emotionally be focused on. Does that make sense? It's kind of like this push and pull energy. And there might also be some challenges with money in some way of like, okay, well, I need to do this because it's going to bring in money for me, but also like I'm feeling triggered in this way and I have to deal with that. And like, it's kind of like there's some fallout and you're like picking up the pieces for it, but it's also helping you to realize like, again, this big perspective shift, and you're going to start to see things differently and really, I don't know, realize that your thoughts and your beliefs are playing into a lot of what you're experiencing, and that can, once you shift that, it'll shift what you're experiencing. It sounds simple because it is. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into your sixth house. It's going to challenge Pluto in your ninth again. There could be this thing that kind of challenges you to change your perspective about something or just see things differently as it relates to like what you're doing for work. There could also be this identity shift that happens because of that too. Like you're really, there's a lot changing about yourself related to what is going on in other areas of your life. As we get into Thursday, there's going to be a grand trine in water with the moon, Jupiter, and Saturn. So there could be also the North Node. There could be this clarity, this breakthrough that comes that kind of has you seeing things differently. And maybe there's this how do I say that? Like newfound inspiration or motivation to pursue a new career venture, or maybe you've already been embarking on it and you're just really feeling the momentum from that. There's a lot of harmony from what you've been disciplined with and building in your career, and it just kind of feels like it all clicks together, even though earlier in the week there were challenges that you had to deal with. As we get into Friday, the moon moves into your seventh house. There could be a breakthrough around relationships related to you, related to your sense of self. Yeah, and also kind of getting more clarity about everything that has been going on all week, and how to really just put everything back together in a way that makes sense to you, and how you've changed and what you need moving forward. As we get into Saturday, the moon is going to challenge Venus in your fourth house. There could be something emotionally that's challenging between your home and a person in your life. Whether this is like a romantic partner, or there's somebody in your life that's kind of pulling you in a certain direction, but it's kind of at a challenge to what's going on in your home, or a conflict with what's going on in your home. Again, it's really like be open to other possibilities. You're Gemini rising, you're mutable, right? So you can flow, you can be flexible, and so it's really like embrace that this week, even if it seems a little unconventional or not like how you thought the thing was going to look. As we get into Sunday, there may be something you're realizing you have to be really disciplined with, or create structure or schedule around as it relates to your career in order to have what you want within relationships and your home and all these things. It's kind of like you're realizing what needs to happen and where things need to go what needs to be done or structured in a way that's going to help you balance the scales out so you're not feeling so chaotic about everything, and reintegrating all that's changed into your life moving forward. Does that make sense? So that's the week ahead for you, Gemini. Let me know how it resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. All right, Cancer Rising. We start the week off with the moon in your fourth house. The sun will move into your fourth house as well on Monday. So there's this shift and focus on your home. There might be something you're doing differently to your home. You might be moving, you might be redecorating, you might be renovating. There's this kind of focus on just making things more beautiful, or maybe like having more social things within your home. Maybe you've been craving that. There's also some sort of, or just spending more time at home, like making things beautiful or making beautiful things. Because also on Monday, Mars is moving into your fifth house of creativity, of passions, also of romance or dating. So there could be a shift in focus on that. But really, I think this is a lot about creativity for you and sharing it with the world. Maybe in ways you have been holding back from, and it kind of creating this psychological shift as well. Wednesday, the moon is going to be opposite, well, Tuesday into Wednesday, the moon's going to be opposite Chiron. So there could be something emotionally in your home that you're having to deal with, or with family, that is triggered by something that happens in your career or happens when you're out in the world. Or maybe you're like out with a roommate or out with a family member, and there's just something that kind of triggers you in a way you didn't expect, that really kind of puts this emotional challenge on you and how you've been expanding your sense of self and your identity. As we get into Thursday, really Wednesday into Thursday, the moon moves into your fifth house. So again, really boosting your creative passions and your emotional drive and focus on your creativity, but it could come at a challenge to what's going on with your resources, with shared resources or debt or taxes or something like that. Or just your kind of inner sense of empowerment. Maybe it's like you really have to muster up the courage and the confidence to share your creative stuff with people and share your creative passions in a way that maybe you've been just keeping to yourself or only sharing with friends. It's like you're having to muster up this courage to share it or to do it in a bigger way than you maybe thought was going to be possible for you or thought that you wanted, but realizing you do want this. Maybe this is a new business, selling crafts or something. That's kind of what it's giving. On Friday, we're gonna have a grand trine in water, so that could create more clarity around whatever this is and really perpetuate you into a new mindset about this. But there's something you have to be disciplined with in order to have that mindset shift. Right, and there could be some harmony in realizing that, or some emotional clarity around that later on Friday as well. Especially as we get into the weekend, the moon's going to be opposite Uranus. There could be this really big breakthrough and shift emotionally of what you're doing on a daily basis for work, and the belief systems kind of at play there. And there could be something that really challenges on Sunday what's going on in your day to day, that maybe you're like, okay, I have to clean up my act. I have to kind of like not buy 16 lattes a day or whatever it is. There's something you have to like clean up in your day to day in order to have this, whatever these changes are, in order to have them in a way that's going to benefit you. It's like you have to kind of maybe release the bad habits or whatever it is in order to have more energy or have more time or have more money to do what you want to do. And that's the week ahead for you, Cancer. Let me know how it resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. All right, Leo Rising. I know I said Gemini. We already did Gemini. Leo Rising, we start the week off with the sun and moon both moving into your third house. Now that it's, Libra season in your third house, there's a big focus on socializing. There's a big focus on what you're doing on a daily basis, maybe networking. Also, Mars is moving into your fourth house. So that's kind of contradictory, because it's like maybe you're actually moving and you're realizing like you feel more supported in your new space socially and with the people that are around you. Your neighbors are awesome or whatever it is. So there's a lot of drive. There's a lot of momentum within your home, and kind of putting a lot of energy and focus there, and maybe even like hosting things or going to people's houses or gatherings. But it also feels like it's at conflict or challenge with somebody in your life or relationships in general. Like you love who you're around now, but because they're all new connections, as an example, it feels really surface and doesn't have that depth that you really need. As we get into Tuesday, the moon is going to challenge Jupiter in your 12th house. And then later on Tuesday, it's going to be opposite Chiron. So there could be something that really triggers you about your perspective of life, your belief systems, maybe related to a conversation you have, or maybe something you like, you have a dream about, and you're like, oh, do I really view life that way? That's not how I want to move forward. That's not how I want my life to be, or something. That's such a specific thing, but that's kind of the energy. And it's almost like just get out of your head and talk to people to move through any overwhelm or chaos or overthinking that is going on in your brain. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into your fourth house. Again, this is like where you're going to be really super focused on your home, maybe organizing stuff or moving things around, or again, you could be like really solidifying a move, or you just moved and you're reorganizing, or you're organizing, unpacking. There's going to be some momentum in terms of your home, but it could come at conflict with a relationship in your life, or somebody in your life. As we get into Thursday, there's going to be a grand trine in water in your fourth, eighth, and 12th houses. So there is this kind of emotional clarity that comes about this perspective shift that you've been in. It's like you've been in this mindset cocoon, which is a really weird freaking phrase, but there's this big change happening in your inner world, and there could be clarity around that on Thursday. As we get into, well, Thursday into Friday, actually, because that grand trine is going to continue up until the moon trines with Saturn later on Friday. That could be this epiphany of like, oh, okay, so this is how I'm going to do this, and I need to commit myself to this, or I need to be disciplined with this in order to make it happen. There's also a big cleanup, maybe with your finances or with money in some way happening, that you're realizing you can't ignore over the weekend. That's going to be a big focus as we get Friday, Saturday into Sunday. There could be some big breakthrough that happens for you around your belief systems and around what's going on in your inner world on Saturday. And then also, oh, my ring light just died. I feel like with Leo rising, it always like last week I turned my light off, and this week it died. Um, there's some big breakthrough or like emotional shift that happens Saturday into Sunday. And like, again, there's that focus on, okay, well, I need to clean up my finances or my money in some way in order to make all this work. So that's the week ahead for you, Leo. Let me know how it resonates. I'll see you next week. All right, Virgo rising. We start the week off on Monday with the moon in your second house. Big focus on money. The sun is moving into your second house on Monday as well. Wherever the sun is what is illuminated for you for those 30 days that the sun is in that sign and in that house. So there's a really big focus of illumination on your money. Maybe making more of it, maybe again getting clarity on what you want to do with it. Feel like this has been a big theme for you, Virgo. Is what are your possessions? Maybe relationship with food. Maybe you're doing a cleanse or something as well. The second house is also food, but I feel like this is money more than anything else, because it's just been a big focus for so long for you. And maybe feeling good about it, maybe feeling like, oh, I actually have the resources to do what I want to do now, and just kind of figuring all of that out and really being in this new chapter with it. It feels really good in terms of that. Also, Mars is moving into your third house. Yeah, you could be really busy these next few weeks, these next few months, maybe because of things you took off your schedule with the eclipses or realized you needed to change with the eclipses as well. On Tuesday, the moon is going to challenge Jupiter in your 11th house. Then it's going to go opposite Chiron. So there could be something that really triggers you within community or social media around money, and kind of maybe changes your approach or changes just how you're viewing it. With Venus in your first house, there's this like really renewed sense of you, and your like money is related to that. Maybe you're even changing up your wardrobe or your style in some way or something. I just feel like there's a lot of focus on feeling good because of these changes that have occurred, even if they are kind of chaotic and you're like booked and busy. It's a good feeling for you, because I feel like you worked for it for so long. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into your third house and over Mars. This could kind of create some sort of need to transform your schedule or where you're going on a daily basis. Maybe like if you've been spending a lot of time at home over the summer or whatever, you're like starting to go out into the world again because you're realizing, oh, I like, again, there's this renewal of you and your values and your self-worth. And with Venus in your first house, it's like, I feel good, I look good. So like, let me go out into the world and like amplify that. But there could be something like a challenge of like maybe the nature of the work you do requires you to be home. So there's kind of like this balancing act that needs to happen with figuring out how to kind of how to make all that work. It's like I'm seeing juggling. It's like you're learning how to kind of juggle all this stuff in a way that's actually going to feel good for you, as opposed to just doing what you have been doing because it was a habit. You're reforming habits based on what actually feels good instead of just doing it because you're used to doing it. Thursday, there could be clarity around that. Maybe that comes in through a friend or your community members or something like that, as there's going to be a grand trine in water. Um, then on Friday, there could be related to that this need of like, okay, this is what I have to be disciplined with. This is like the schedule I want, or I really need to kind of commit to this or take this off my plate in order to be able to be disciplined with this other thing. There's this kind of emotional epiphany or revelation about how to kind of structure things differently to make it all work. So you don't feel like you're like juggling a million balls that you can't you can't possibly juggle all of that. As we get into Saturday, there could be a breakthrough as well, maybe around home, around family, related to what's going on in your career and the positive changes you're experiencing there. In work, there could be this emotional relief or breakthrough, maybe healing of something that you recently discovered within your family dynamic or your home life. Um, but also, it could really challenge your sense of self and what's changing about that. And there could be this moment of like self doubt because of it. But it's just a moment, right? It's just a temporary feeling that's going to catapult you into a greater sense of self, and feeling of worthiness and feeling your value. I remember that coming up for you last week, Virgo, was a lot about feeling your value. So there's going to be this maybe momentary setback with that, but then like I said, come out stronger for it. Especially as we get into Sunday. I mean, Saturday into Sunday, this energy is going to be, how do I say that? It's going to be the energy from Saturday into Sunday. So maybe Sunday you really come out of you rise from the ashes and you're like, oh, okay, actually, no, I'm going to choose to see myself this way. This is where I'm going. This is what I want. This is who I am. And it's kind of like, what is that? Like, not a come to Jesus moment, but like where the main character like realizes like, oh, I've been this badass person this whole time. It's like, it's a really cool thing that I'm seeing for you. I don't know how to put it into words, but I look forward to hearing how it goes for you. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Libra Rising. We start the week off with the moon and the sun going into your first house. This is a renewal of you. This is a renewal of your sense of self. I feel like there's been so much that's been drudged up in your subconscious these past few weeks, that really has you seeing yourself differently, really has you acting differently because you are different. This is going to affect your creativity in a positive way and your belief system in a positive way, your perspective of life in a positive way. Although there could be some maybe challenges at first in the week between your money and what's going on creatively for you. But I feel like the way to work through it is really just by taking inspired action from this new sense of self. There could be something on Tuesday that maybe triggers you and how you're feeling yourself emotionally, through somebody else in your life, through a relationship, whether it's romantic or not. There's going to be some kind of wound that gets triggered by somebody, that you have to work through of like, oh no, I'm not that person anymore. Like, this is who I am now. This is who I'm choosing to be. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves over Mars into your second house. So there's going to be this emotional drive on your money. And maybe like really changing your finances in a way that's going to benefit you, maybe really just taking some inspired action to have some sort of transformation with what's going on in your money that could also create this transformation of inspiration and creativity. Like, I'll give y'all an example. Last night, I've been kind of just finding creative ways to make money that I hadn't really thought of before. And then all of a sudden I get all these ideas related to some unrelated to what I had been thinking of on something else to do. Does that make sense? So it's like it's like you taking action based on your intuition is going to create this momentum in ways that you didn't expect. As we get into Thursday, that's going to amplify because we have the moon harmonizing with Jupiter and the North Node. There's going to be like this renewed sense of creative direction and inspiration for you that could positively really affect your finances and bring in money in ways that you maybe wanted and needed. And then on Friday, that clarity might push you to change something about your routine or what you're doing on a daily basis and be committed or disciplined to what that is that you're changing about the structure, your schedule or your routine. There's this kind of need to kind of further clean up your schedule, so that you have space for this creative stuff or whatever it is that you're changing or or driven to do more of with money. And then as we get into the weekend, there could be a breakthrough around that, related to your belief systems, related to your perspective of life on Saturday. And then later on Saturday, the moon is going to challenge Venus in your third again. Venus in your 12th. Again, there could be this need to have this like emotionally charged belief system shift. Maybe you're like fed up with how things have been going and you're like, no, I'm no longer putting up with this. This has to change now, is kind of the energy. And it's like things will really change for you when you decide. And this is like that moment over this weekend, is like that's when you decide that things are going to change for you. And then they do. So I'm really excited to hear how it all goes over this upcoming weekend, Libra. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. All right, Scorpio Rising, let's get into your week ahead. It starts off with Libra season beginning in your 12th house. The moon is on Mercury as well, so you might have a conversation, maybe a conversation with God or your inner self, your higher self, your inner psyche. That really kind of changes the way you're going about things. And again, this might just be like this internal shift of like, no, I really need to stop thinking that I'm in control here and like go with the flow, right? Like we've been talking about for the energy of this week is really go with the flow. And there's going to be some sort of internal shift that you have on Monday that kind of helps support you on really like listening to your intuition more and surrendering to what is being presented to you, as opposed to thinking that it's got to be this one certain way. As we get into Tuesday, the moon's going to be opposite Chiron, so there could be something that triggers that shift in you. There could be this thing that triggers a further integration of that, and like realizing like, oh, I really need to surrender, I really need to release, because otherwise it's just gonna be like going, it's like, what is that phrase, swimming up the current, and you're like, oh, I just turn around and then I go with the current and things are much easier. It's what the energy feels like on Tuesday. Mars also is in your first house now, so there's really this renewal of you, of your drive, of your motivation, as Mars has left your 12th house now. But there's also this risk, the kind of shadow of that. I experienced this when Mars was moving through my first house, was like tendency towards anger. So you really have to channel that into something that's going to be productive, whether it's a creative thing, or whatever it is. You really have to like learn how to kind of work with that energy. It could be something related to home or family too that's really challenging you, and you're really maybe realizing you need to like, again, be disciplined with your meditation or whatever it is, breath work, to not blow up on people. So that could be a theme of this week as well, the first half of the week, especially on Wednesday as the moon moves over Mars and kind of puts an emotional charge to that energy. But I do feel like you're going to get clarity from this on how to move forward if you have been changing things within your home or your living situation or with family. There is going to be something good that comes from it that supports you on the changes you've wanted to make or have been making, and kind of presents it in a way that maybe you wouldn't have thought of on your own and is actually better for you. As we get into Thursday, I feel like there's more of that, just, oh, this is actually beneficial to me. This is actually a miracle in disguise, a blessing in disguise, as the moon is going to harmonize with everything we have in water signs on Thursday into Friday. There's kind of this, again, this emotional breakthrough, this epiphany of like, oh, this was actually in my favor, happening in my favor the whole time. As we get into Friday, that kind of furthers, like I said, this energy really is Thursday, Friday theme, because on Friday, we're going to have the moon harmonize with Saturn in your fifth. There could be this renewal of your creativity related to this, of like sharing things, sharing your passion in a way that maybe you've been feeling stagnant around. Like there's this kind of renewal of inspiration, of energy that occurs that kind of propels that. And then as we get into the weekend, there could be this really big emotional shift breakthrough around your money, maybe related to belief system work or mindset work you've been doing towards your finances. But there could also be something that needs cleanup within what you're doing on social media or how you're going about it, or what you're doing in terms of your community. There could be something you realize you need to refine or just slightly change to bring in more money, or something like that. And then as we get further into the weekend on Sunday, that kind of, again, just, I feel like the fog is going to lift and you're going to realize like, oh, this is actually what I needed to do. It's kind of like you move forward. This week is like you move forward you encounter a challenge, you have to pivot, and then things just kind of get smoother as you go, as you realize more about what you need, and get the clarity and answers that maybe you have felt like were a struggle leading up to this. Does that make sense? I feel like it's kind of vague, but that's what we had for you, Scorpio. So let me know how it resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. All right, Sagittarius Rising. We start the week off with the moon and sun in your 11th house. Mercury's there now too. So there's a lot of focus on socializing. Maybe you're feeling more creatively inspired too when it comes to social media or sharing things with your community. I feel like there's a lot of momentum there and a lot more that's happening that maybe you were planning for or anticipating would happen, and now it's just kind of like, oh, here we go, like it's flowing. Also Mars is in your 12th house now, so there could be also this emotional drive, or this drive or motivation towards your subconscious and maybe what's going on there, any repressed anger and kind of or feelings in general. You might also be doing more spiritual stuff, or embracing new spiritual practices, getting into new occult things. Um, that could be because there's a change in your energy. There, I'm not getting much clarity around this at all, but it's like this fogginess. What is that word? Where you feel like just unmotivated, and it's like, okay, what can I do to transmute this energy and this like lackluster depression or something? Because you realize like there's, yeah, I don't know, I don't want to like focus too much on it, but it's like there's something you're going to be motivated to do and change about your spiritual practices in order to have more energy, like introducing breath work into your routine or something like that. As we get into Tuesday, the moon is going to challenge Jupiter in your eighth, and then it will be opposite Chiron in your fifth. So there could be this kind of tension or friction between what's going on in your social life and what's going on with your resources, what's going on with your creativity. There might be something you do that's new, or a creative thing that you want to do that triggers you. Could also apply to dating or children. Take it as it resonates, but there's going to be something that triggers you to kind of restructure money. I'll leave it there. I feel like I keep wanting to get into things deeper, and it's not happening for whatever reason. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves over Mars. They both are challenging Pluto in your third house. There could again be this emotional drive to shift your energy. There could be also some unexpected emotions that come up, like repressed anger, I want to say, or just repressed emotions you didn't realize were still affecting you and there in your subconscious, and they come up so you can transmute them, right? And that's really this energy. Maybe also somebody kind of triggers you on this day as well, on Wednesday, that propels you into this deep inner world exploration. As we get into Thursday, there's going to be harmony related to that. It could be this big breakthrough, epiphany shift around your inner world, your subconscious, related to what came up that was maybe triggering. And then as we get into Friday, that's going to continue to be the energy. The moon is going to harmonize with Saturn in your fourth. There could be some answers or clarity around something within your home or something within your family. Maybe this is a move, or just kind of like something happens within your home or family that brings up emotions again to be purged, to be cleared. And then as we get into the weekend, there's this epiphany. There's this emotional renewal, maybe related to someone in your life. That you didn't really maybe expect to talk to again, or I don't know. I feel like there's going to be this big emotional change related to everything that came up earlier in the week. But also that could challenge like the emotional pull to you, to your identity, to your sense of self. Could also challenge something that's happening in your career. There's a big cleanup in your career, and you might get more clarity Saturday into Sunday on how to make that change, although it could come at a challenge to you. So that's the week I had for you, Sag. Let me know how it resonates, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Capricorn Rising. We start the week off with the sun moving into your 10th house. The moon is in your 10th house. Mercury's there. Big focus on your career, on your public image. Maybe you're networking a lot more, putting yourself out there in new ways. There's really kind of like a lot of mindset work you've been doing, and because of that, you're feeling renewed in your sense of self, and you're ready to kind of put yourself out there into the world that's different than how you have been before. Also, Mars is in your 11th house now. There could be something happening with your community or on social media that's maybe triggering you in terms of finances, but you really have to kind of come from within, this center within yourself, this empowerment within yourself to change your circumstances and know that you can. And maybe that's related to the new people that you're networking with or meeting, that maybe you didn't expect. On Tuesday, there could be something triggering that happens within home or with family, that maybe feels like it adds tension to what's going on emotionally in your career. Maybe also somebody in your life or relationship, whether it's romantic or otherwise, there's been an expansion, but it kind of on Tuesday feels like there's this challenge between your relationships, your career, your home, and your family. The focus is on you. And again, kind of embracing this new version of yourself that you've stepped into related to the inner work that you've been doing to change your mindset and your belief systems. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves over Mars into your 11th house, adding some emotional tension and charge to that square to Pluto in your second house. This could really kind of trigger you to maybe network in order to make money in new ways. This could really trigger some sort of motivation or inspiration to change your financial picture, because something feels really challenging and you're like, I'm no longer going through life this way. Like, this is not how it gets to be for me, so I'm changing it. And then on Thursday and Friday, it feels like there's a lot of harmony. There's a lot of emotional drive towards creating more harmony, maybe within your relationships related to what came up earlier in the week, and who you're talking to, where you're going on a daily basis. That's also related to, again, the belief system work you've been doing at that inner level. I'm going to continue into Friday as the moon harmonizes with Saturn. Feels like there's something you need to really discipline yourself with as it relates to your routine in order to have these changes that you want and move in this direction, that is more beneficial for you moving forward. Friday into Saturday, we're going to have the moon opposite Uranus. So there could be some big, again, like breakthroughs within your perspective, within your mindset, within your belief systems. And it feels like you're going to be more in a flow with all of these changes and knowing how to move forward with them. Saturday, though, there could be some tension or challenges between what's going on in your emotional inner world and your belief systems. Again, there's this maybe further cleanup work that needs to be done related to what came up throughout the week, of realizing like, oh, okay, just these tiny refinements. It's nothing really major. But it is going to just help you move forward with more ease, with more clarity into this new direction. So that's the week ahead for you, Capricorn. Let me know how it resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. All right, Aquarius Rising. We start the week off on Monday with the moon and Mercury in your 9th house. The sun is now in your 9th house as we begin Libra season. Mars has moved into your 10th house. So I feel like this is really this big renewal energy, towards what you're doing for work or career. But also with the sun opposite Neptune in your 3rd, there might be some minor mindset shifts you have to make, that maybe you're realizing like, oh, the way I've been going about life or viewing things isn't supporting me in making these changes. So I need to kind of look at things differently. And it's just so interesting that all these weeks we've had such tension in the sky. We've had challenges and conflict and just things not working out. But there's also been these miracles in the background as well that we can just focus on whenever we want to, instead of the challenges, right? So I feel like the challenges that are happening for you, Aquarius, are really changing your sense of self and having you step into a new way of being, a new identity, maybe even one that's more empowering for you, related to like what is going on in your career too. On Tuesday, though, there could be something that triggers you. Maybe it's somebody you talk to, or it's something that happens that triggers that kind of, again, that reevaluation of your mindset. Yeah, it's really the focus is like, maybe you need to meditate extra on Tuesday, because there is going to be something that really challenges you, and the focus, the release of the tension is through your mindset, through your subconscious, bringing to light what's really going on underneath the surface when this comes up. On Wednesday, the moon's going to move over Mars in your 10th house, challenging Pluto in your 1st. This could again create that emotional drive, and momentum to really just change you, and not from like an outside place, but from an inside place. Pluto is retrograde right now, so its message is internal. There's a shift that needs to occur that's like comes from inside of you, and the momentum to do that is going to be there on Wednesday, although it might be challenging in the moment. Once that energy clears as we get into Thursday and Friday, you're going to realize like why that needed to happen, and maybe get more answers and clarity about how to do it. Especially on Thursday, as the moon is going to make a harmonious aspect to the North Node and Jupiter. This could be good for your money. This could be good for your career. That finally, like, things are maybe feeling more like you have solid ground. You have more answers about how to move forward. Um, and then on Friday, it's like, okay, what do I need to discipline or commit myself to as it relates to this to have a better relationship with it, or have it go more easeful and be consistent as opposed to just maybe like sporadic, like it comes when it comes and whatever. No, it's like, how can you build a consistent foundation of this? There could be a sudden epiphany around that later on Friday as the moon opposes Uranus in your fifth. It could be require you to kind of think outside the box and innovate as it relates to this creative passion or this thing that you're doing to make money. It could come through somebody on social media or through a community member or a friend or something as well, that just, again, kind of shifts your mindset and really has you seeing things differently than you had before, so that you can move forward in an aligned way, and again, in a consistent way that is built on a foundation and is not just going to crumble. On Saturday, though, there could be something emotionally within community that challenges you in your inner world, or maybe finances in some way, maybe resources that you share with another, or taxes. This could also be like an internal transformation, again, that's like happening within you if you need to refine and clean up some of your inner beliefs or things, maybe even about money, to really move forward with this in the way that is going to be aligned for you. Does that make sense? Because I feel like that was kind of vague, but that's the week ahead for you, Aquarius. Let me know how it resonates, and I'll see you next week. All right, Pisces Rising, we start the week off with the sun moving into your 8th house. Moon and Mercury are there as well. This is a big focus on your resources, on your money. Maybe you're wanting to invest your money differently or pay off debt, taxes, things like that. And there's a lot of motivation towards changing your situation, but also changing your perspective and seeing it differently and doing the inner work to be able to have the external results. As we get into Tuesday, there could be something about money that you're triggered by, or again, is like really propels you into looking at things deeper of like, okay, what within me is recreating this experience? Like, why, what is getting triggered? Why is it getting triggered? How can I reframe it? How can I see it differently? There's a lot of subconscious shifts happening for you this week that you're kind of like pushed into. You're really like pressured and challenged into. And maybe you have to lean on social media, or you have to lean on the support of a friend or community in order to have more harmony with that and bring it into greater balance. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into your 9th house over Mars. It challenges Pluto, again, emotional drive to make these changes in your perspective and your subconscious to have the external results that you want, with your money and with these creative things that are coming together for you. But from that does create positive momentum and maybe miraculous changes as we get into Thursday and Friday, because the moon is going to harmonize with everything else that's in water signs. So there's also going to be this, maybe this renewal of your inspiration creatively, or this renewed sense of self related to all the inner work you're doing, to have those changes that you want to see. And then as we get later into Friday, there is going to be a breakthrough, especially as it relates to your career, and putting the emotional focus there on like, okay, what needs to change? What excites me? How can I do more of it? How can I just share it, put it out there, not listen to the inner critic or the whatever, like focus on the positives and like what is exciting you and how you can just move forward. Does that make sense? As we get into Saturday, though, there could be something emotionally in your career that challenges you, maybe related to somebody in your life, and there's like a need to kind of clean up your relationships or just approach them differently to have this thing in your career that you want, that's more aligned with you. And I think as we get further into the weekend, especially on Sunday, there's going to be that, okay, I need to be really committed to this. I need to be disciplined to acting on this from the clarity that you received. Does that make sense? So that's your week ahead, Pisces. Let me know how it resonates with you, and I'll see you next week. The lighting has just been shit the whole time, so yay! Iris says, I'm a Leo rising, but Virgo rising resonates so much more. Oh my God. Okay. I would look at your relocation chart, a Google relocation chart calculator. If you've moved away from where you were born, that could be the reason for that. I have a class on that in my membership community as well, if you want to go deeper into learning that that concept and how to read your relocation chart from me. And that's where I'll leave you all. I wish you the best for the week ahead, and hope you had a good eclipse. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye.